civil war waged between the white and red factions in Russia. The Bolsheviks worried that the White Army might try to free the royal family and use its members as a rallying point. When white troops neared Yekaterinburg in July 1918, the local executive committee decided to kill Nicholas II and his family. The bedraggled imperial family was rudely awakened by their captors in the middle of the night. The sounds of battle echoed not far from the spacious home that had become their makeshift prison, and the prisoners were ordered to take shelter in the basement. Outside the basement, a waiting truck revved its engine. After a long wait, the head jailer reappeared, brandishing a pistol, and backed by 10 men armed with rifles and pistols. He declared, "Because your relatives in Europe carry on their war against Soviet Russia, the executive committee of Ural has decided to execute you." Raising his revolver, he fired into Tsar Nicholas II's chest as his family watched in horror. With that shot, the militia opened fire. Bullets ricocheted around the room as family members dove for cover, trying to escape the deadly fusillade. None made it. The wounded children who clung to life after the firing stopped were dragged into the open and set upon with rifle butts and bayonets until all lay quiet in the blood-splattered room. Oof, that's dark. Tsar Nicholas II, the last of the Romanov emperors, died alongside his beloved family. A bungled body disposal. After the murders, the bodies were taken by truck into nearby woods, stripped and thrown into an abandoned mine pit. The corpses were visible above the pit's shallow waterline. Fearing that the bodies would be discovered, the communist officials tried to burn them the following day. When that did not work, they decided to move the bodies to a deeper mine pit farther down the road. The truck got stuck in deep mud on the way to the mines, so the men dug a shallow grave in the mud and buried the bodies and covered them with acid, lime, and wooden planks, where they remained untouched until 1979. In his official report, the lead executioner, Yakov Yurovsky, stated that 2 of the bodies were buried and burned separately, giving rise to speculation that 1 or 2 of the Romanov children escaped the massacre. Several pretenders came forth claiming to be Tsarevich Alexei, heir to the Russian throne, and his sister, Grand Duchess Maria, but the most famous of the undead Romanovs was young Anastasia. Did Anastasia survive? Anastasia, the 4th daughter of Nicholas and Alexandra, was 17 at the time of the executions. At least 10 women have stepped forward claiming to be the lost Grand Duchess. The most famous of these was the strange case of Anna Tchaikovsky. In Berlin, 2 years after the murders, a woman named Anna Tchaikovsky, hospitalized for an attempted suicide, claimed to be Anastasia. She explained that she had been wounded, but survived the slaughter with the help of a compassionate Red Army soldier who smuggled her out of Russia through Romania. Anna bore a striking physical resemblance to the missing Anastasia, enough to convince several surviving relatives that she was indeed the last of the imperial family. She also revealed details that would be hard for an imposter to know. For instance, she knew of a secret meeting between Anastasia's uncle, the Grand Duke of Hesse, and Nicholas II in 1916, when the two men's countries were at war. Other relatives, however, rejected Anna's claim, noting, among other things, that Anna Tchaikovsky refused to speak Russian, although she understood the language, and would respond to Russian questions in other languages. A drawn-out German court case Anna commenced in 1938 to claim her inheritance ended in 1970. With no firm conclusions, Anna, later named Anna Anderson, died in 1984. It was not until DNA evidence became available in the 1990s that her claimed imperial lineage could finally be disproved. The Romanov ghosts. But what of the hidden remains? After the location of the royal resting place was made public in 1979, 9 skeletons were exhumed from the muddy pit. The bodies of the royal couple and the 3 of their children, Olga, Tatiana, and Anastasia, were identified by DNA tests as Romanov family members. Their remains, as well as those of 4 servants who died with them, were interred in 1998 near Nicholas's imperial predecessors in St. Petersburg. By all accounts, 11 people met their deaths that terrible night in July 1918. In late August 2007, 2 more sets of remains were found in a separate grave near Yekaterinburg, based on results of DNA analysis that was completed in 2009. Experts agree that the sets of remains were those of Tsarevic, Alexei, and Maria. Okay, now we're going to go on to Jack the Ripper. Between 1888 and 1891, he brutally murdered at least 5 women in London's East End. But was there really a connection between Jack the Ripper and the British royal family? Forster, who died by suicide in December 1888, a Russian-born thief, and an American doctor who fled to the States in November 1888 while on bail for gross indecency. Since there was little or no evidence against any of these men, the case spawned many conspiracy theories, the most popular of which links the killings to the royal family. I like the theory that Jack the Ripper is H.H. Holmes, but I'm also skeptical of that actually being true. Anyways, the royal conspiracy. The heir to the British throne was Prince Albert Victor, grandson of Queen Victoria, and son of the man who would later become King Edward. I'm not good with Roman numerals, it's VII, I think. Anyways, the prince, popularly known as Eddie, had a penchant for hanging around in the East End, and rumors abounded that he had a daughter, Alice, out of wedlock with a shop girl named Annie Crook. To prevent major embarrassment to the crown, Eddie sought assistance from Queen Victoria's physician, Dr. William Cole, who institutionalized Annie to keep her quiet. However, her friends, including Mary Kelly, also knew the identity of Alice's father, so Dr. Cole created the persona of Jack the Ripper and brutally silenced them one by one. A variation on this theory has Dr. Cole acting without the knowledge of the prince, instead driven by madness resulting from a